There's a goddamn fly in here. And that is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. We just had a lot of good channels on. Everybody was live just a little bit ago. So, fuck it. I'm gonna go live too. Wow. This fly needs to die. Like yesterday. I'm gonna kill that thing. What's good though? What's good with everybody, man? How's everybody been? That looks like it's a little too bright. Most hated, what's good with you, bro? Working 7 till 3. 3 in the morning or 3 this evening? Bam, got his ass. Barn Dog, good to see you, bro. Yeah, we're just all making our rounds, huh? Making our rounds around the lives. A lot of good channels were just on not too long ago. Everybody. YouTube. YouTube is YouTubing. Huh? YouTube is YouTubing. And the only way it knows how. Well, in the only way some people know how. And that's to do anything other than something that's original to themselves. Summer, good to see you. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Tater Tot, good to see you too. But yeah, I've been having something of a spat, if you can call it that, right? I've been having a developing online animosity that has been developing towards me from somebody that I'm not even going to say their name. They're not going to get any recognition or clout. And like I have advised a lot of you out there, I have said that when it comes to online beefing, it doesn't pay to feed into it. It doesn't pay to explain yourself. It doesn't pay to address the allegations, because then you play into, you play into the narrative, right? You place yourself at the mercy of whether or not you need to be believed. But it was kind of funny because I had realized today that it reminded me of something. It reminded me of something that I experienced when I was a young man, like 20, 24, 25 years old. it's funny that like there's some people out here 40 years old and plus who still haven't learned some of the lessons that I thankfully was able to absorb and incorporate into the man that I would become from as early as my mid 20s, right? And thankfully, that's the benefits of having a father. You can tell when a man doesn't have a father. I didn't know my father for long, but even so, his impact was extremely the effect he had was had a very large impact, and he could do that in very small ways. He did like this is the importance of having a father. Okay, now I got this dude. He makes posts. He makes videos and shorts, and he's tagging me in them and shit, right? But and he's explaining himself to me, right? In one of these videos, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my Instagram and my TikTok, they're hitting 20Ks and they're hitting 3Ks and this and that, and people they fuck with me and they care about what I'm saying, and then I'm like, all right, cool, yeah. I mean, if you're hitting good numbers, that's cool. That is cool. If you think that they are really valuing what you're saying, some people feel like a lot of people value what they're saying, and that can be misleading, right? It can be really misleading depending on how far you have yourself fooled. I had myself fooled really, really good at one point in time, right? And my dad snapped me out of it like that with just one question. I went to the SHU in my first prison, my first federal prison. I went to the SHU for the first time for being a shot caller, right? I was a spokesperson. I've always called it a spokesperson. I don't like the term shot caller, mainly because I know the truth. You don't call shots. You make suggestions, and the majority will either choose to listen to you or not. It's up to them. You are at their mercy, right? So don't ever feel like you're in control. You're the boss. You're the boss so long as everybody still likes you. That's as honest and as blatant as I can keep it right there. You're in charge so long as everybody likes you. But but yeah, I go to the shoe for being in the shot calling position, right? They brought me up. They demanded to know some things. I played hardball. I didn't answer any questions. I was bucking. I was doing what I was supposed to do, and I got locked up for it. Right? They gave me an ultimatum. They were like, either tell us who your guys' shot caller is, and tell us this, and tell us that, and blah 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 blah. Otherwise, you're going to the shoe. And I said, bet, take me to the shoe, because I ain't gonna say shit. I ain't gonna say shit. Now there wasn't anybody there to see that. There wasn't anybody there to impress. There wasn't anyone to witness that. You know, but I knew, I knew, I knew I was being tested, and I knew that it matters what you'll do when no one is looking. But I went to the shoe for being a shot caller. And it was about that time that I wrote my dad for the first time in years, right? Fucking years. First time since I've been to prison. First time since I've been to prison. I wrote him. And I admitted to him that, I had found myself sounding more and more like him. I found myself mentioning things that made me sound like him. And, but I wanted to apologize more than anything, right? Just for being the shithead that I was all through my adolescent years, teen years, even as a young adult. And, but I told him, I said, hey, sorry for being such a shithead. I've done a lot of growing, did a lot of thinking. I said, I'm in the shoe right now. I'm I'm in the shoot for being a shot caller for my people, for our people. They they voted me, they voted me into this position, and I speak, I speak for us, and and he writes back, right, and I was like, yeah, I guess I don't really think that he was going to be impressed, but I still wanted him to acknowledge that there's something, right? There's something. I wasn't just the flippant, careless, irresponsible teenager that he used to know. I was eager to show him, look, people, they depend on me. They listen to me. I'm kind of important, you know, kind of a big deal, right? I'm kind of a big deal here, but but no, he wrote back, and I could just hear his fucking tone, right? I could just see it. I could just see the casual and the casualness in which he would say it if I was standing right before him and I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm a shot caller, you know, for the feds, big time, big house, I'm actually doing it, like the movies, like in Hollywood and shit, I'm actually doing it." And he goes, "Oh yeah?" He goes, "A speaker, huh?" He goes, "What are you saying?" That was it. That was it. That's all he said. "A speaker, huh?" He goes, "What are you saying?" That was it. Because I'm observant enough and realistic enough to know that regardless of what the fuck the position is called, we ain't saying shit. We ain't talking about nothing. We're not doing anything. None of this shit matters. Especially from his perspective, right? Out here carrying the pipe, taking care of his family, paying bills, being a man. What the fuck does it matter that a ragtag fucking group of bottom of the barrel fucking convicts are willing to listen to me? Right? So, not only that, but what the fuck am I saying? I'm not saying anything. I'm saying whatever will keep me fucking from getting my ass fucking stabbed, right? There was no message. Not for me. Not at that time. Not for the men on the pound with me. There is no message. There's just survival, right? There's just swimming with the sharks. And I'll tell you what, in a dog eat dog world, it is very lonely. It is very lonely in a dog eat dog world. And that's all I had. That's all we had. So it doesn't matter how many people watch, how many people engage, how many people views, likes, all that shit. What the fuck are you saying? So what? You know, that's what that reminded me of today. Dealing with this cat today, he was so proud of the fact that he had all these big numbers, that people were willing to listen, listen to him. And I thought the same thing that my dad said to me 15 years ago. What are you talking about? Because if it's anything like you've been talking about over here on this platform, the shit that keeps coming across my For You fucking page, it's garbage. Hot garbage. And I told him that. I wasn't mean about it. I just told him, look, man, I hear more about this one individual from you than I do from the dude's own page. and I'm subscribed to him, you know. I was like, I'm good, dude. I'm good on that. And all of a sudden, I'm all this, I'm all that, and it's like it's the same situation as the last time. The real reason I fell out with the movement, The resistance. I withheld my appearances, I withheld my cosign, and then I became the enemy. I don't really care. That shit don't bug me one bit. Don't bug me one bit. Make all the fucking AI thumbnails you want. People that rely heavily on that AI have to, because the narrative that they need to exist does not exist in the real world. But it exists in a fantasy world. Alright, I'm done with my rant. Let's catch up with comments, huh? Yeah, let me get back all the way up. Man, you guys have been busy. Who is BR Brandendo? A lot of people are getting deleted. I'm not sure why. They're not exactly the most offensive comments I've seen. My favorite song? Jesus. Fragile by Kendrick Lamar and Tech Nine. 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Okay, that's what's up. Herb, what's good with you, bro? Tara, good to see you. Welcome to the live. Tara, I think I remember. Oh man, I don't remember. I don't remember. I haven't watched my that live yet over yet. Aaron Mitchell, what's good with you? What's good with Justice? How you doing, bro? Trying to fix some handmade kitchen cutlery. All right. Looks like that Desperado actor. Oh man, you always enjoy listening to what he has to say. I learn more than enjoy almost the same. I appreciate that. Danny Treyu, yes, yes, there you go. What's good with everybody? Lost poise. I remember you from protective custody. That's funny. Yep, it's Machete. Get it right. Now I see why you got timed out because you're just being dumb. You don't want too many mods, but if you need another Herb Disc 16 is solid. All right. Yeah, I'm familiar with Herb. I've seen Herb around quite a bit. Drinking these hot. Yeah, it's hot. It is hot these days. Damn. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that again, Justice. That's just wild. Just Davy Lotus, you mobbed up. My mobbed up. I'm guessing that means something incredibly important to people in the know. I'm just not one of them, I guess. I'm just not one of them. I didn't get the memo. I did not get the memo on the proper lingo for whatever that means. Kenley D. Ford, good to see you, bro. I'm grateful for your dad looking back. He still sets you right. Yeah, man. Yeah, my dad is one of the few men that even to this day can, like what he did to me on that day. I could say something that I would be kind of, I don't want to say proud of, but yeah, something that you might have a little bit of, boastful about, and he'll always not spin it but he'll come at me from an angle that I haven't considered yet. That'll either let me know it could be better, there's more to improve, or I mean, unless it's just a damn good job, then it's a damn good job. He'll tell me that, but nothing's ever final with him. Nothing's ever final. It's a good dude to have in your corner. Weirdo alert. I'm Sue, if that's what you're asking. Ricky Bobby, good to see you. Oh ho, your old man 76 fell twice this week, pain in the ass, picking up an old man now, bit of bones and skin. We can only be so lucky to get that old, bro. I'm extremely lucky to have made it to my 40s, to be honest. Radiant, are you from Taco Country? I am not. You in the joint? No, I am not. I am not in the joint. I mean, does it? The joints have those just sitting around? I'm riding with him till this end. Till his end? All right. Just Davy, yes, I am native. Yes, I am. When it comes to people in your life, the quality is way more important than the quality. Excellent point. Excellent point. See, Grandma on the same path. I promised my grandpa when he passed I'd do him right. Hope my pops makes another 10 to 15. Yeah, it's a scary thing because they're not always gonna be there. They're not always going to last. That's just a fact of life. That is a fact of life. I know my dad is super. He's super happy. He's done something that he's never done with me ever before. All right, when I got out, I would not ask him for money. No, for nothing. Would not ask him for money. Just too much pride, and yeah, you get out of prison, and I'm a tattooist, and I just never got to that point. But the few times that he did come up and run into me and come to see me, he would leave me 100, $150, something like that. It's cool, cool. I'd always be super grateful and stuff. But what was different was the day he asked me for money. That was something that I never thought he would do. Um, just for reasons, I guess, that have everything to do with pride between a man and a son. But it felt it felt good, right? It felt good with him knowing that he was willing to set pride aside and ask me. And I had it. I didn't have it like that, but I had it. I could sacrifice it. And so I went and I shot him the money, and I told him, don't worry about it. Don't. I'm not going to be all like, oh, when you're going to have it back. I wasn't going to do all that with him. And it opened a door that it's progress. It was progress for me and my pops. We never had that real father son relationship. It was very tumultuous at best. We got along a lot better after the fact. We barely tolerated each other when well, I barely tolerated him. My dad took fucking psych classes to help him better understand the child he inherited. Like, I got to give him props. The dude tried. He fucking tried, you know? But yeah, he's he did what he could. I ended up getting custody taken from him for being just too far gone of a shithead. But yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, when when I had my son, um I think he just asked me for the money just to see if I would send it. because he never asked for any more ever again. And I've never actually been in a position where I needed to ask him for money, you know. But I think he's just always kind of waited to hear, like I just know on some level he might expect to hear that I fucked up again, right? That I got locked up again, that I got racked up some more charges or something, because that has always been the pattern. That has always been the pattern since he's known me. I've been through every fucking juvenile facility there is in North Dakota, escaped from all but one place. Well, I mean, even that place, I managed to escape from it. I got brought back because the place has like a 99% catch rate or something like that. But yeah, when I had my son, he sent me $500 just right off the rip. I was like, wow, like I would have never expected that from him. Even if even if I needed it, I don't think I could have asked for that. Even if it was like I'm gonna get kicked out, I got no rent money whatsoever. He's the type of man that if I call him up and say, "Hey, Dad, I don't got my rent money. Can you hook it up?" He's gonna say, "Aren't you working? You know, where'd your money go? What'd you do with it? How'd you pay it last time?" you know, he's gonna ask all the right questions. And so, I don't think I could ask him for more than even $100 just on a fluke. So for him to do that, that was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. I was super grateful. It is warm out here. Yeah, quality over quantity. Coyote Ridge doing time. He said the same thing. Four American bullies almost hated. Damn. Kenley, years. Lutiful day. Are you on an Indian reservation? No, I am not. As you get older, friends go distant, but your life is still happening. We get accustomed to experiencing life solo. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I appreciate that, Summer. Letting everybody know. Looks like a school. What the hell? It's my garage, man. It's outside of my garage. Yeah. Ricky Bobby, I'm Sue. Rosebud Sue. Danielle Plainview, explain how anarchy can work in America. Not as like a perpetual state of like, no. Anarchy in itself is not, it's not a perpetual, it's not meant to be a perpetual state in which we went about our everyday lives and raised families and all that shit. That's not what it's meant for. But it is an inevitability, right? Because you can't just be under one regime continuously, permanently through, fucking hundreds and hundreds of years. Something's got to give. Something has always given. And that has happened hundreds and hundreds of times throughout history, right? And in each instance, it is the people who revolted, who rised up, revolted, and seized power from a corrupt and, a very misguided government or a monarchy or a tyrant, whatever the case may be. But it is more of a call for change than it is a suggestion, a long term suggestion. You know what I mean? It is basically a call for acknowledgement that something needs to change. You you feel me knocking? Let me in. Yeah. Hell yeah, Tech Nine. Yep. Have you done any only members? Damn it. Members only videos and topics like your learning of the prison complex industries, ties to society, etc. No, I haven't. No. Yeah, Jay. Yeah, that's there's definitely there's room for that. I'm not exactly pigeonholed. It would appear to speaking strictly about prison stabbings. Hello from Illinois. God bless. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. A lot of deleted messages here. Have you ever experienced a love so profound it surpasses all worldly understanding, God? I'm glad that you feel that way about something in your life. The EFI informatory post, the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives. Whoa. Jeremy JJ5, Mil5, no more cheese. Exactly. Big J Profit. Yo, I seen you on another live YouTuber today. Yeah, yeah. What was that today? I don't know. I was on a few different lives, but I remember it was earlier today, right? Tammy Pierce, welcome to the stream. You look just like my uncle. I'm gonna I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm definitely gonna leave that one alone. I finally caught up to comments. It's amazing. Yeah. Good to see the channel doing well. Yeah, yeah, man. I guess that is one plus that has come from being suddenly unemployed is I took an opportunity to see what uploading every day, like everybody tells you to do when you first start YouTube, to see if it was effective. And it is extremely effective. Like I looked at the numbers, like 1,000% increases is the minimum just from like the last week. So not only is going live regularly, that's really it's kind of extremely essential for the people who do fuck with you, who do like your content. They get an opportunity to engage with you, ask questions and stuff like that. And I slept on it. I slept on it. I figured I was giving people 50 fucking minute increments of me and videos, but I'm only doing those like once every couple of weeks or something, right? And the shorts, shorts I've never really had. I don't know. I don't like shorts. They don't do much for me. 3 minutes, just not a lot. It's just not a lot. But yeah, and I didn't like the idea of lives because what are you gonna talk about? It's like I guess I didn't want to catch myself not knowing what to talk about for just randomly for no reason in front of who knows how many people. But it's a lot like freestyling. It's a lot like freestyling for a group of people on the yard rap battling or something. Like you are on the spot, right? You are aware that thousands of people are going to see this, and if not 15, 20, 30, 40. I started seeing 40, 50 people at once for the first time, which is kind of crazy, which was kind of crazy. Fuck is my fly swatter? But it was cool. It was cool. But yeah, it's been extremely beneficial going live every day and just uploading. little things here and there. Like I've done a bunch of lives. I'm not even like talking about shit, right? And I guess not everything has to be a super produced, you know, 100% effort fucking story mode. Sometimes people just want to bullshit with you and not know what topics are going to come or where it's going to go. Big Miz, yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Miz, he looked hella he looked kind of put off, huh? Yeah. Like he usually like I don't think he even recognized who I was. He just seen the 3350 at the end of my name, and then I think he was irked that nobody was leaving the YouTube chat to go to a whole nother channel so that he could begin his story on the camera that was facing him instead of the camera he was looking at over here. I don't know, but I didn't have time for it. It's like if you're just going to sit there and slightly, slightly come sideways at the chat because nobody wants to go find a whole new channel name, do some push ups, and I'll gift. I'm not a dog, dude. You can gift if you want to, but don't ever make it contingent upon something. Yes, Lilos, consistency is the key. Navy SEALs. At least you're not lugging triple recliner sofas around anymore. Yeah, that's really the thing that I've been enjoying is not having to bust down a couple 100,000 pounds of fucking navy or navy. I was about to say Navy SEALs of merchandise in a week. Terratot, thank you for the GGs. I've delivered furniture, hardest job ever. Yeah, people have no idea. They have no fucking clue. Like I got somebody right now telling me to do some push-ups. Like, do you know how fucking strong I am? If you have any idea the explosive strength I have, best native movie in your opinion? Oh, that is a good one. That is a good one. Hmm. I don't even know. Probably one of my favorites though is Last of the Dogmen. And obviously Dances with Wolves. It's just timeless. It's a classic. Kevin Costner did a really good job. I have family in Dances with Wolves. Um, Percy Left Hand Bull. I believe he played one of the Paiutes. Um, he was in the scene where they shoot the farmer. They axe him, right? They tomahawk him in the back, and then they shoot him with the arrows, and he's like, "Not my mule, not my mule." Yeah. Got any mish? Mish? What is mish? Yeah, you left too. Yeah, I mean, it's a small inconvenience, but it's enough. It's enough to just like discourage a person. I guess I guess we're all finicky. I guess we're all finicky now, right? But it was enough for me. I was good. Baba Boo, the hell, Park Boy, good to see you, brother. Glenn, good to see you too. Look at him, he's learning. How tok doshke you are hey white eyes. I'm good. How are you? Benito. Lazy chairs are freaking back breaking. Who would have thought? Yeah, yeah. And those are the lightest of the recliners that we had to deal with. Lazy boy were the lightest recliners. The Flex Steel is hundreds of pounds minimum. 200 or 300 pounds depending on what you're getting. Yeah, Dances of Wolves was the shit. Yeah. Have you seen Older Than America? It was shot on my res, Fond du Lac. No, I haven't. All the Boarding Schools, great movie. No, Older Than America, huh? I'll definitely check it out, Lilos. Thank you, Summer Lily. Thank you for being here and encouraging me to continue being me and staying true to me. Crime scene death. Good to see you. iJourney. You didn't get the notification, huh? Sometimes it'd be like that. I don't really know how these lives work. I know that that my shit grows because random people just come through, and that's why we see a lot of new faces. And that's why we got a lot of deleted comments now. As a white guy in the West, is there a way to approach and be invited to a sweat lodge session, or is that something that's not done? You absolutely can come to a sweat lodge, but more often than not, it is going to have to be as an invitation from somebody that regularly comes to one of them somewhere. Um, it is something that they would have to coming up to somebody. It's all in how you ask, right? You can come up to somebody who frequents one and ask them to join them if that's something. Just tell them, hey, I'm interested, or I used to go. If you say you used to go, it's some people have co-signed you in the past and you would like to continue honoring that or whatever. Usually people are good about that. They're good about bringing an extra, you know, but it's all in how you ask, who you ask, when you ask, you know, as with anything. That movie Maverick was shot in the valley where you're from. Okay, okay, Sav. The 27th, huh? Dreamkeeper is a well rounded adventure story supported by numerous tales from several different tribes. Huh, I never heard of that one. Never heard of that one. Watch day, good. I am running slowly. Yep, yep. Lives have been good, bro. The lives have been good. We got nothing but good people coming through all the time. Lilos, I am a professional tattooist. Yeah, I'm professionally licensed and everything out of my county or out of a county, not the county I live in. Nolly Crooked timed out. Oh, that's too bad. David, good to see you, bro. You have a 16th of Cherokee. That's enough, man. That is enough. I'd never want to lie about it. Generally, want the experience. Have you never been to one yet at all? Then yeah, you would have to at least let somebody know that you want to experience one. Um, Really, it just depends on who you ask, who you know that goes to those kinds of things, and all they can say is no, right? That's all they can say. I would wait to be asked. Yeah, there is that, but at the same time, you know, what if he doesn't know anyone? What if he doesn't have any native friends? That's another thing, and I thought of that. Right? It's almost there was a point in time, and there are some places where it would be disrespectful for you to ask, but times have changed, and if it were me and somebody came up and asked, I would almost give them the opportunity just on the fact that they took the initiative and risked coming up to us to ask, which I knew couldn't have been easy. So depends on who you just catch, right? Just depends on who you catch. Yep. Who you talk to and how you speak. They are. Eagle feathers and hawk feathers, those have to be given. Traditionally, those have to be given. And they can't be like bought, traded for. I mean, if someone gifted you a feather and you turn around and you gifted them something else, that's fine. But no, don't. You can't say, I'll give you this if you give me a eagle feather. Like, there's some people out there probably do it, but that's not the way to do it. No. Butters, good to see you. You're getting your hand tattooed soon? What is the pain level? I'm getting a portrait done. I'm very interested in who is doing that for you. Who is doing it for you? Have they discussed any concerns that they have with your concept? Because I could tell you right now, if it were me, I would tell you right out the gate, no matter what you put on your hand, we're going to have issues. It's going to, it's just going to have issues, and to get something as technically refined as a portrait on the hand of all places, it's going to require a lot of touch ups, which are going to end up turning into a lot of blowouts, which is going to turn into a lot of bleeding together. I am all thumbs today. And hands in general are just open to the elements and are constantly being knocked and scraped and scraped into things. They're points of a lot of abrasive impact, so they're not a very well protected area to be getting something as sensitive as a loved one's face. So if your artist is just going to take your money and not express any of these issues to you, then I would be worried. I'd be concerned. I would do your research and find out how many people out there have issues with the hands, what they thought it was going to be like going into it, what it was like actually, and how many times they had to. Just because somebody goes in and gets a really nice hand piece and it looks good as soon as it peels and all that, the exceptions to the rule, like how does that go again? Oh, I forgot, right? I was supposed to say something like exceptions to the rule are not the majority or something like that, but I'm not even sure what the hell it means now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Glenn. I'll definitely take him to a powwow. Yeah, Herb. Like you said, man, all I can do is say no. And if they do say no, then, that's probably not the place you want to be. Manners will take you a long way. Hmm. That's what's up, Jay. Sitting in direct sun. It's basically what a sundance is, right? Sundances are essentially just enduring the element continuously, 24/7. No rest, no reprieve, no sitting, no standing, no laying flat, no floating, nothing. Right? Like, well, yeah, you gotta stand there and dance. Sometimes pull against tethers that are hooked through patches of skin on your chest, and you got to sit there and like pull back until they snap. And sometimes you don't have the strength or you don't have the willpower to pull hard enough to make the strips of skin actually snap, because that's a mental obstacle that you're going to have to endure as well. It is physical, but it's physical in a number of ways. And it's going to require a lot. It requires a lot of you. Wrapped a few nice medicine feathers. That's good. I believe that was what I was given. Yeah, blessed. Gave me the feathers. Name was Smiley from Browning. You don't know very many light hands. Whoever approached about to sweat off for tobacco. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's another thing. See, that's definitely a good suggestion right there. When you do come and ask somebody to, you know, be invited or something like that, yeah, offer them a little pouch of bugler, like a top tobacco, something like that. Not like fucking pack of 100 Newports, fucking Slims or something like that. You know, it says, well, now you got me thinking. I'm definitely going to look in more. McWitch. Yeah, no problem. No problem. I would tell you about, no matter what it is you put on the hands, it's going to require somebody who knows what they're doing at the end of the day. I'm not saying nothing can be done there. It's just more often than not, it's going to require some touch up sessions. And, a lot of people think that they're just one hitter quitters, and usually they aren't. Ink spreads more in your hand. Yep. Hard to keep wrapped. Yep, yep. School naps. Good to see you, bro. You're half Norwegian. The rest is Mexican native. He's lighter than you are. He's got your mom's skin. Brother got in a fight and pulled some gel over it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate when we fight over just skin color. Yeah, held it down, but still went through it. Yeah, Apache ways. Yeah, you've been to one of those ceremonies, huh? You were 13. Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say
Marcus. Come get some grapes.
grapes. Thank you, babe.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but when you said you were recording, yeah, there's not supposed to be any no recording of spiritual ceremonies, traditional ceremonies, which is why I have told you guys a number of times now that when it comes to talking about some of those things, I'm not going to be divulging every aspect of the stuff. I'll touch on it here a little bit there and stuff, but it's not made to be sold. It's not made to be sold. Buffalo skulls at certain powwows. Okay, you're a metal pig. They're very close to what you're like. Yeah, it's tripped out, isn't it? Oak Ridge, I'm good. I'm not Cherokee. I'm Sioux. Okay. Take a look at this triad. Where are you holding it, or did you send it to the chat or something? I don't see it. Past the grapes. A man called a horse. Yep. Yep. You will. Sweat Lodge takes a lot out of you. It would take a lot out of you. What state, bro? North Dakota. Hamaya. How did you meet your first love? I'm currently working on a poem, but I need inspo. I've never personally been in love, so I would like to have an explanation on how it felt. How did I meet my first real crush? Um, huh? I don't know. I don't know how to explain that one. She used to sit in front of me in math class long before I really had any actual interest in like having a girlfriend and stuff. But we actually started beefing. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I think I hit her with something, or I flicked up fucking one of those paper footballs and it like hit her in the back of the head or something, or I'm not sure what I did. I did something annoying. And she's used to, fucking spinning back and being like, knock it off, and I'd be like, man, yeah, I'd do something like that, right? I was a little shithead, and yeah, I hit her with something one day by accident or on purpose. I'm not sure. And she spins around and she's like, knock it off before I have my boyfriend kick your ass. And I remember, I always never forget this day. And I said, boyfriend. I said, who the hell would want to date you? Fast forward like 2 years. Fast forward like 2 years. And I think I followed this chick around for a long time until we finally went out. And it was rough. Yeah, it was rough. Um, I made a video on it, but not as interesting. Not as interesting. It broken down very quickly on the spot. Have a good week, dude. See you on the next one. Paper football. That's funny. Yeah, you have a good one, Kenley. You just knucklehead. Yeah, yeah, I was 59. I would not have known that. I would not have known you were up there like that, bud. Age and a number. I'm almost what? No, I'm almost. I am. I'm 40. I don't know why the hell I almost said I'm almost 40 just now, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it, man. I don't know what it is. Even being free and growing out here in the streets, and and acquiring and accumulating all the responsibilities and stuff as an adult that I would have normally had I never went to prison. I still don't feel like I'm growing. I still don't feel like I've advanced. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I just felt like you would grow into an adult. Like, there would be a point where like you crossed the line and they like waved a flag and we're like, congratulations, you're officially an adult now. You are now, your responsibility level is increased by 100% or something. Your stat levels have increased. Like, that never came. That never fucking came. Life is not like a video game. I didn't get no stat increase that helped me be more responsible or anything. Hmm. Yeah. I would have to definitely agree with that, Justice. That's what you guys have been doing for me for some time now. Um, your guys' opinions of me have made me look at myself a lot more, which is a slippery slope, right? It's a slippery slope. It's the exact same process that I went through in prison. When you start to realize that people think highly of you, then that suspicion is, for the most part, confirmed when they offer you some type of position, that politics and all that, right? Oh, people gravitate. People gravitate to people. The concept of stability and becoming an adult is the greatest fallacy. Yeah, yeah. I definitely don't feel my age at all. I definitely feel 55 years of age when I tried to skate the bowl the other day. At least I didn't slam dropping in for real. I appreciate that, David. Yeah, yeah, you already know. People know, man. People know when they hear somebody that has thought about the same things you've thought about. You know what I mean? We are at the hour mark already. Yeah, we had all types of good lives on today. All types of good lives. YouTube is something else, right? YouTube is something else. Anybody else ever feel like just get tired? They just get tired of their subscriptions. like like everything, right? Just like everybody they've already been listening to, you just get tired of it all. Like, fuck, man, I'm just tired of it all already. It's crazy. I think that's why I really became a content creator. I I honestly think I started telling stories in the manner in which I wished I found from somebody else, right? Essentially became my own the content creator that I am drawn to.
Have the dogs eaten?
Um, I fed Bear. I don't know if I ever fed Nala and Dodie.
I don't know. Bear always tells me he needs fed, so I don't know.
No, he ate.
He ate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. I met more solid people here. That's good. That is good. Glenn says we have a community here and here sharing stuff with each other. That's great. Yes, it is. It is great. We got nothing but good peeps here. Yeah, it did go fast, Dave. That's what's up, most hated. That is what's up, you know? I mean, it's easier to maintain something when you keep it simple, right? And just being yourself and being a humble, respectful person is pretty easy to do when that's just default mode for me. You know, it's just default mode. I think the only reason why it stands out so much is the consistency with which I present it and the lack of it from all the other channels makes it all the more obvious. I think that's the only reason why it seems to stand out so much. Yeah. Hmm. You had a dog named Nala too? Your elderly elderly parents are doing Tai Chi again. That's funny. Don't look down when you relate, bro. We understand. That's what's up. Yeah, yeah. At least the chat isn't going crazy tonight. It's been going. We've been getting around lately, huh? We've been getting a lot of new faces coming through here. I go back and I look at all the troll accounts that come through and stuff. And I think those are just straight up people that just bounce around in lives and just randomly talk shit. There's people like that out there. Just for no other reason other than just that's what they do. They don't have to be invested. They don't have to know you. They don't have to not like you. They'll just pop up in your live, look at the first thing that sticks out, and they'll just attack, right? Attack, attack, attack. And if you give them the reaction that they're looking for, they'll continue. They'll stay. You know, sometimes I'll convert them. There's a couple that I've converted, right? I don't know if you guys caught some of them that come through, and they're like, "Ah, I came in here. I was just gonna troll, but you got my sub or whatever." I've seen that. I have seen that. That's what's up, Glenn. I mean, I've just been honest about some of the real shit I faced in life. That's it. That is it. Yeah. Yep. You know what they say, David, about how, well, the most cliche phase or the most cliche phrase is that birds of a feather flock together and stuff. But more than that is like-minded minds will eventually congregate, and not everybody's going to be able to, like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but not everybody's going to like everyone. That's already more than obvious. I already have people that don't like me. There's channels out there, there's content creators that just don't like me for no other reason than just some of the places that I do talk, like Bam Bam, right? There are a lot of people that don't like me because I'm friendly with Bam Bam. But Bam Bam started his channel almost the exact same time that I started. You all just heard today Splinter from Splinter, Prison POV talk about how him and Lance from Off the Yard are basically, what do they call those? Like kind of like not classmates, but yeah, it's like class, right? The class of like 86 or like the class of 2008 or whatever, right? Like certain years where certain people start their channels, like me, Bam Bam, Exposed to, like we all kind of popped up around the same time. Now I already had to completely wipe my hands clean of Exposed to, and everybody knows why. But for the most part, I haven't seen anything that would convince me enough that I would have to step back from Bam Bam. And he's really like the only one left from when I jumped out there into YouTube, So I mean, yeah, y'all, if y'all really are trying to like dethrone him or turn me against him or whatever it is, like y'all are really gonna have to come correct because yeah, it's just like it's just me and him at this point from last year. From starting our channels last year, we're both sitting at about 2K 2K subs, yeah. New day, welcome to the chat. Have you used the Jeep stroller yet? No, I haven't. It's been too hot. It's been too hot to try to take him out there. And David says, "Ditto, my friend." That's right. He says, "Well, you're an interesting, entertaining, storytelling, wisdom slinging, straight up guy." That's a lot, man. I appreciate that. That is a lot. Yeah, Yeah, I got nothing against JD. I have my own, I have my own thoughts about him. I have my own opinions. Um, I think he was just really fortunate. He was really fortunate in the fact that he was kind of one of the first ones to jump out there, and the price of his admission was a lot less steeper for those of us who are now trying to establish ourselves in the prison genre, right? Back then, 23-1 lockdown, 1090 Jake, him and all the other ones, they could have, and they did, right? They jumped out there and they were able to pretty much say and claim whatever the fuck they wanted, right? And it was gonna go. It was gonna fucking sell like hotcakes. And it would be some time, really, I think 1090 Jake was probably even the pioneer of that before they started getting on people's cases about what may or may have not actually happened in these prison stories. But a lot of guys got in at the beginning when they could say whatever they want, and a lot of it didn't have to be validated or proven, you know, like nowadays, when I make a YouTube video, I have to like I have to automatically assume that the levels of disbelief are so disproportionate because of so many people that have bullshitted out there that you almost have to like completely convince people at every turn, almost all every aspect of the story. At least that was important to me because I wanted people to know that I wasn't this wasn't just fantasy hour, you know. And I have said from the very beginning, um, I will stand the test of time. I will stand the test of time. And the only way people are going to see that is through time. It is through time. And already, from the people that were with us a couple, 2004, 24, and 25, there's already just a handful of us. And it's only going to get harder and harder for anyone else who comes into the prison genre and wants to become somebody that can blow up, talking about their experiences. You go through the prison genres, you see how many failing fucking channels there are? Hundreds. Hundreds. White dudes, black dudes, Mexicans, people that you've probably never even seen or heard of. Even even in passing or by accident. There's fucking hundreds out there. And the rabbit holes are deep. And there's really there's not like a whole lot of variety in it. You know what I mean? Like you really do have to be able to offer something more than just you've been to prison and you put in some work and you didn't get stretched out. And, and, like I don't know, man. The prison thing is getting old. It is getting old. Yeah, yeah, they're low key racist. Unsubbed to both. I don't think I'm subbed to either one of them, to be honest with you. Yeah. Dubtown 4L, what's good with you? How you been? Said you found my channel in shorts on YouTube. It's subscribed straight away. Glad I did. A bit too hot for shoulder. Yeah, it is. It's definitely been hot. Rangers Clips, good to see you. As a white man, I'd wish to give you your land bank, but unfortunately, I'm the white man with no power to do so. It's all right, man. It's not on you to do that. Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, No, JD is just honestly, I think he's just your average dude, man. There's a lot of them in prison. There's a lot of them in prison. They're just average dudes that come in and skate by without so much as a fucking peep. You know, they put in their work. They don't make any waves. They don't cause any problems. They don't get shipped to, you know, six, seven, eight different joints. They don't even get shipped to a different unit, you know. But yeah, they go in and they, you know, they jump into some type of an affiliation, and they have a pretty uneventful and standard, you know, convict career, and then they get out, and with just a little bit of flair and imagination, they can make themselves look like they were running shit in there. It's the lack of it's the lack of dirt to smear them that almost has the opposite effect. It's like, okay, well, if there's no dirt on them, then they must be everything they say they are, right? And I know that there's some people that think JD was like a prison shot caller or something like that. I don't think he was. Was he? Was he really actually a prison shot caller? I think he lived with the shot caller, and even then, so what? You know, like I've said time and time again, shot calling isn't nothing. You might think it's something to brag about. It's only something to brag about if you survived it, which is not something most people do. It's only something to be proud of if you did it and left with as many holes as you started that job with, not any more extra. It says if you can get Australian TV shows, you gotta have a smoke and watch a show called Husos. You will laugh your head off. I will keep my eye out. Loud, boring, and annoying. Shit. My time, I love Wolf did in politics. You have with your stand with your blood. I never chose to click that way. Yeah. Yeah, it's very it's very it forces you to be racist, to be honest. Prison forces you to be racist. And if you weren't before, you will leave with something like tendencies of it by the time you leave. You know what I'm saying? Not mean. Yeah, it says, how can you not watch him and think to yourself, my God, dude, stop yelling at me? That's really his appeal, right? His appeal is the fucking whole wood chipper, you know, and got the fucking bug eye sunglasses on and the bright ass O ring fucking mirror all up in the grill. Like that's his brand. That's why I say, like, he got it real easy. When he came in, he just had to be loud, obnoxious, shirtless, with those sunglasses on, and not have any stories about how he got his ass ran up top for being a piece of shit. And you know that was kind of it was just a winning recipe in the early days of the COVID YouTube prison genre isms. Ah, shit didn't stick to me. Wait, I missed something. JD claimed to be a shot caller on The Connection with Johnny Mitchell and on Soft White Underbelly. Hmm. shit didn't stick to me in how I was raised. Yeah, soft underbelly is gross. Are you saying gross or grouse? Groose. It's groose. Good day, Tater Tot. I like a wannabe wrestler. Yeah. Yeah, right? What are you gonna do, brother? Macho Man. Macho Man. Macho Man. Was it Randy Macho Man Savage and fucking Hulk Hogan are they were the face of wrestling, were they not? Justified. Good to see you. Good to see you. Grouse is Aussie slang for good. Oh, okay. Well, I liked them too. I liked him too. I liked Soft White Underbelly until I seen him the way he interacted with like um, a really young prostitute, like a minor. There's a minor that he had on his show. It was pretty famous, and Kay really made me uncomfortable with the way he was talking to her. Even his compliments. He complimented her like he was like, "Yeah, yeah, you're filling out into." He's like, "I always knew you'd be a beautiful woman," something like that, right? And it just, if I never had any thoughts about him before, my that fucking, my antenna was like, boop 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 boop, and I was like, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. You're gonna have to run that by me again, because I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. Yes, Nova. Yup, yup, that's Nova. I mean, yeah, Glenn. I don't take it the wrong way. I was a big fan of him. Big fan of him. I even promoted him on one of the shorts I have on my channel. He interviewed a white supremacist named Coco, and I mean, hell, I've even kind of aimed. I've mentally, I've mentally pictured myself making it to soft white underbelly. Like you kind of have to. Like I said, like there is a part of you that does have to be a bit of a egocentric and overly confident that you could potentially be famous enough to be interviewed, right? Even when I wrote rap lyrics and stuff, when I was, rapping and spitting and battling in federal prison, I mentally envisioned being interviewed on 106 in Park. Like, being interviewed by Roxy and Terrence up on the stage, and like I really, those things really passed through my head. I might be a little crazy too, but in this career choice, on some level, you do have to assume that you could become known enough to for people want to like pull you up on these channels and expose you to a larger audience. And it was possible, right? It was possible that I could end up on somewhere like soft white underbelly. But after I saw that, I honestly could say that I could no longer say that that's something I wish would happen. Tara says, yeah, he said something like, "I knew you grew up to be a beautiful young woman." Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought I remembered. Yep, he told me senses kicked in. Yeah, yeah, man. It was just, there's certain things that you shouldn't say. No matter how they were covered, right? They were covered well. He spoke veiled words well. Yeah, but I seen it. Oh, did you, Glenn? That's what's up, man. See, that's why I fuck with you, bro. That's why you're a mod and you're a member. Justified, we are all doing well, especially when we have nothing but good company here. It was a good episode, Tater Tot. I definitely, I was for real. Yeah, I was for real. I was like, this dude's been through some shit. He's the real deal. Yeah, he's the real deal. Those are the type of men that make going to prison the ordeal that it is. If somebody is not afraid to literally break through a fucking wall to get their hands on you, that will happen. There's people that find ways to get out of cells. They'll take a CO hostage through the chuck hole, have a knife to their fucking ball sack and everything. You better pop this fucking door. Yeah, pop it now. Now. Fucking give them about an inch of the blade. They're gonna pop that shit. I've seen somebody get butchered, head chopped off because of some people that got at somebody in the shoe. You think you're safe in the shoe, right? You think you'd be fucking safe in the shoe. Nah, nah. These two gang members took a CO hostage, got out at knife point, took the keys, think they killed the CEO, went and popped the door of somebody else, then they went and popped the door of the person they were gonna get at. Can you imagine being that motherfucker in the cell and you watch somebody overpower the CO on the tier, and you're already aware that's probably one of your enemies, right? You're probably already aware there's quite a few people that want to get at you. So you got to know what's happening at all times. And if they're overpowering the CO, then this is serious. And they took the keys from that motherfucker and they popped the doors and they stabbed that dude across the neck so many times that the head separated. But yeah, that's just crazy. I bombed that video talking shit, and it took almost a year for him to censor the pictures he took and her choice of clothing in the video. That's good. Yeah, that's good. I didn't get to watch the actual most of most of the time I only listen. I can only listen to the content because I was at work and I was working, right? Working with my hands. So I listened to that episode and just listening to it without being able to see anything, it still gave me the creeps. No shit, Jay. That's fucked up. Yeah, David. Straightforwardness. That's all we know. There ain't no reason to fix it. Yeah, that shit's crazy, bro. When I first went to state prison, they have these like 20-foot tall fences. The 20-foot tall fences, everybody's fenced into their own little compartments, and they have chain link fence running all along the top of it. They were they were finding ways to like climb all the way up to the top of the fence and squeeze through like a certain opening where the shit wasn't like completely zip tied, like, sealed, or they would pull up the bottom somehow and they would get underneath. I don't know. They'd get into the same fucking rat cages in the shoe and they would stab the shit out of each other and they would go back to their separate cages, all stabbed up and shit, and act like nothing happened. You see some crazy shit in there, man. You see some crazy shit in there. Had our locks taped. I learned how to shimmy them damn doors. Yeah. Yep. closet skater off screen. From badass, yeah. Yup. Yeah, Glenn. That's exactly what he did. He dropped in on him. And then, or yeah, because then he needed help to get back up. He needed the dude's help that he spent hours fighting to give him a boost back into his own fucking cell. Isn't that shit crazy? I'm glad you didn't watch it. You would have teleported through the phone and beat dude's ass. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's unfortunate, man. It is unfortunate because that type of shit ruins it for me. It permanently ruins it for me. And when like Boxer, I was a fan of Boxer. You know, he's an informant. He's a documented rat. Do we care? No, we don't. Well, we didn't until I found out that he's got that he's got those grape charges, a grape charge in the past. He hasn't been very forthcoming about it, and I publicly turned my back on him as the same way I did Chad Marks. You know, um, and I'm only going to do that one time. I only needed to do that one time. Yeah, no, if it came down to it, you're gonna have to know how to get out of your cell. Because if a war ever starts while you're in federal prison, you're just gonna get locked down one day. They're gonna tell you lock down your emergency, fucking count or whatever it is, and that's it. They might come by and feed you again, maybe once, but that's it. You're going to get locked down, and either they're going to leave you to starve in your cell, or they're going to come gas everybody through a system already set in place, or they're just going to chuck the fucking they're going to open the chuck holes and shoot you point blank. There's a code. There was a code for this probability, and it was called like code purple or code orange or something like that. I don't remember what it is now, but I remember hearing about it. I remember hearing about it from somebody who was supposed to have known about it. And they said, "You think I'm lying? Ask somebody about it. Ask another CO about it and watch their face." And we did. We asked somebody about it, and they looked a little surprised. Nobody admitted anything to us, but we had learned that there are policies in place that if a war ever broke out, a lot of these people, a lot of the people that are working prisons are on reserve. They're going to get called in, and if they don't, you know, jump on enlist and go fight for the country, they're going to take off, fuck all their shift and all that. So you think they're going to be running around by themselves, handing out toilet paper while their friends and family are trying to hold the house down, and we're being invaded? No, they're going to bounce. They're going to abandon the prison. Okay, and I had a CO admit this to me in SMU Lewisburg because we were like this fucking close to going to war with, I think it was China, and Russia was backing China at the time, and there was some shit that was going on. And I know that a lot of people probably don't know anything about it, but we were really fucking close to going to war with them. And I had White Bear as a cellie at that time, and he knew politics. And we were listening to the AM radio stations, and we were listening to what was going on. And I don't remember the specifics anymore, but I remember raising hell with White Bear. And they woke him up in the middle of the night, and they said that Russia shot off some missiles, and he was freaking out, and he was up he jumped up and made some coffee and he was scanning all the radio stations and he was screaming down the tier like, this is it, this is it, we're gonna have to break out, you know. And he wanted everybody to start sawing their desk apart, right? Because we needed the big metal pieces from the desk to bust the walls down. Because, like we said, if a war actually did break out, they're gonna abandon posts, and all of us are gonna be left to starve to death in the prisons. And I had one of the staff who would take us out to rec at the 23 and 1 lockdown program tell me and a couple other guys that if it actually did come to that, he would come back up to the prison personally and get a handful of us out. Only a handful that he felt he knew had the fortitude to, you know, not turn against him or fight for the invading forces. Um, but he did tell me, along with a couple other dudes, that if it came to that, we would be one of them that he would come back and release and expect to, I don't know, defend the town, defend his home. I don't know, you know. But it's crazy. It's crazy having to consider that you might, like when we were in a fucked up cell too. The cells we were in were completely lined with sheets of metal. And I'll tell you what, there if you get locked in a cell that's completely lined in sheets of metal, like you're not burrowing out of that motherfucker. Like you can't cut through that shit. Not in the normal means that we would normally cut to make knives or whatever. That is like a polished fucking super stainless steel shit. Like you could scratch at that shit for hours and barely mar the polish. That's like we were trying everything to get off that fucking range because White Bear said that if we got stuck in here with the sheets of metal wrapping the entire room, we were gonna starve to death. And we did. We got off that range. We got onto a range that was all brick, like every other building. And that brick is old. You know, it's like a good foot and a half of brick between the outside wall and the inside of your cell. But the shit is old. And if you took your stool from your desk, right, and you fucking sawed the stool off of the desk, and you had the big seat thing with, you know, the big part that the seat connects to and swings against the desk, and you wrap like a sheet through it in such a way where you can swing it the whole fucking the whole seat of the desk, and you step back and you just start going to town on the fucking wall, take turns, you'll get through that wall. Foot and a half, 2 feet of concrete, it don't matter. You and your celly with that big chunk of steel that you took off of your desk, you'll get through that wall eventually. Hopefully, it's a wall that goes out into a prison yard and not out into like the other side of like a building or something. You know, that'd be fucked up. I gotta try to catch up on comments here. I feel like anyone have brain, somewhere to pop their cell. Yeah, okay. Do you prefer being away from people and crowds now that you're free? I just don't. I'm not a fan of people. I'm just not a fan of people. Period. You know, it don't really have anything to do with having been released from prison or anything. Yeah. It says I won't watch that soft white underbelly anymore. That's it for me now. No more. No, I'm sorry to hear that, Glenn. But you know, to each his own. All right, brother. David, have a good one. If you're still here, if not, I'll catch you on the next one. Machiavelli, hi everyone. How you doing? I was told in the new war comes, they got orders to open and shoot. Yeah, they might, right? They might lock you down, or they might line you all up and just open fire. I don't know, but I do know that it's supposed to be like mediums and higher. So we were all USPs, especially us that were in SMU Lewisburg. That's basically it's not super max, but it's not max. It's more than max security. Super max is obviously ADX in Florence, right? But 24-hour lockdown program, I gotta imagine it's more than just max security. But uh, Lowe's camps, these places, they'd probably be allowed to go home, right? Um, who knows? But I know this, that they've said it themselves. People aren't going to stay and work the job. The prisons are just either going to get locked down, and whoever manages to make it out of there on their own, good luck to you. But the rest, y'all are probably going to starve to death if a war breaks out. And you can't even guarantee that the enemy is going to free you if they find you. They might, you know, use you in some fucked up way, send you into a minefield or something like that. You have no idea what they're gonna do. They're not your rescuers either. Have you seen someone literally break their door inside the walls in order to get someone or participate in the situation? Oh yeah, yep, yeah, I have. People pop the locks all the time. People pop locks all the time. I heard if there's ever World War III that they would gas every prisoner because they don't want a chance in uprising. That's exactly what we heard, and that's why I had a cellie that thought we were getting gassed one night. It smelled like it. It smelled like it. It was tripped out. I'll have to do a video on that. Dubtown 4L. What's your favorite album from who? If it's an album that I don't have to like mess with for like any song ever, we're probably looking at a Bone Thugs album or an Eminem album or a Tech Nine album. Um, yeah, all the old music, none of the newer shit. um, yeah, that shiny steel justice. It's not. You're not cutting through that shit. I've never seen anyone carve anything out of that polished stainless. Um, Otherwise, from start to finish, if I have a celly that is willing to switch on and off with me as soon as one of us gets too tired to continuously, carve in the groove, we can saw one out within one day, within one 24-hour period of just you and your celly, trading off. Back this is obviously you guys are gonna sleep, you guys are gonna take breaks, but if I started by supper time today, by supper time tomorrow, I'll have a knife out of this bunk bed. Yeah, Jay, as long as the tool you are cutting with is harder than the material you are carving into, it's just a matter of time. It's literally a matter of time. That's all we're doing. We're making knife, right? We carve a knife out of a bunk in prison. We are scratching the fucking metal one groove at a time. That's it. But if you get like a cutter from those clips, right? The strong, thick black clips. Then you carve on the push forward and you carve on the push back, or not the pull back. So each rotation is a cut. Sometimes there's weird situations where with what you're using or at the angle in which you're cutting, you can only make an actual cut from one direction, and you're not able to immediately reverse it. And in those cases, days. You take days. It's a process. Taking 2 or 3 days of it's a fucking process, but sufficiently incentivized with your life on the line, it's something that you will commit to and do regardless of how long it takes, because you don't want to be caught without a knife. Not if you're in the shoe and COs are putting you in fucking rivals cages. Martial law, yes. Martial law is exactly, if they call martial law anybody in a medium or higher in the federal prison system, probably going to get killed right where they sit. Anybody in lows and camps, they'll probably get locked down, and they'll probably be expected to stay where they are, and they'll probably be expected to operate absence absent actual guards and stuff, which isn't asking a lot because that's basically how we do it anyways, right? The prisons run themselves. The prisoners run the prisons themselves. They know how to do everything. That's why I say we are in prison by choice. We are in prison and locked down every night and let the guards go home unharmed, unfazed, unmolested because we want to go home one day. But if that is like no longer an option, then the charade is over. HMP Prison Pentridge, Coburg, Victoria, Australia, was built out of bluestone in the 1800s. It was a very tough and dangerous prison. It would have made me or break me. I'm glad you ended up there. I'm glad you didn't have to go there either. I do like Metallica. Metallica's the shit. AWACS has definitely albums that can be listened to from For Real. Okay. Pentridge Prison has been closed now since 1997. Okay. Nail clippers. Yes. Nail clippers. Nail clippers are the ones where you can only scratch one direction. Nail clippers are the ones that you can only, whatever direction you're going, it's going to be push or pull. But the the clips, the strong clips that are black, those are the ones you want because you can get a push pull fucking cut going. And as long as you can do that, man, you'll literally half the time it would. I don't know why I'm going this in depth over it on a fucking YouTube live, but there was a time. There was a time I had to know everything there was to know about cutting steel. Marting, who is that? Who the hell is Marting? Okay, yes, finally found a nice live representing queers. Appreciate you, fan. Oh, yep. Nothing but time on your hands, so carving steel with steel works nicely. Yes, yes, indeed. Full moon bringing the weirdos out. Yes, it does justify. Can't find an original thought with the map and flashlight. Yeah, shout out to our mods, the community. Yeah, shout out to the mods. The mods are doing an excellent job, and a lot of the times I don't even see what needs to be dealt with. Y'all are on top of it. I just happen to look at it if I am curious enough. Atwater was not a joke. No, they called Atwater stab water. They also called Atwater rat water. So it's just depending on what faction you were with and what years you were there. But yeah, somebody was always getting poked. Black binder clips. Yes. Yes, the black binder clips. Those right there are the fucking grade A cutting tool right there. Just listening to you is putting good info. I was there 05 to 08. Okay. Yeah, I didn't go there till what was that? The end of 13? Yeah, the very end of 2013. For sure by the beginning of 14. Something like that. Yeah, we got 22 people in here. That's what's up. I appreciate everybody who is here tonight. You didn't have to be here. You could be anywhere else, but here you are. Boston car. I got nothing but bad. I was about to say, I got nothing but bad things to say. No, I got nothing but good things to say about the Boston car, man. They've always been a small car, but they've always been a legit car. They've always, what they lacked in numbers, they've always made up for in quality over quantity. From Ray Brook for making wine. That's some petty ass shit, man. But I've heard good things about Ray Brook for it being like a sweet joint. But sweet joints are hard to stay in. They're very hard to stay in. We wanted to go riding today too, man. We wanted to go riding bike today. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow. We'll take everyone out for a bike ride tomorrow. Yeah, Jay. You know, there's always something that can be learned from anything. You kind of hope that you'll never need it, but you hope for the best and prepare for the worst. You can't go wrong in life. Can't go wrong. There's a lot of little info like that, man, where you just never know and it'll come in handy. I like that. I like having a lot of little useless information. I'd rather be somebody that knows a little bit about everything than to know everything about one thing. That's a hell of a that's a hell of an option, isn't it? Know a little bit about everything or know everything about one thing and nothing about everything else. Jay, I used to be able to get out of handcuffs. there is a there's a pressure. They're pressure sensitive, and depending on how you pull your wrists and force you know the force the things when they latch, you force them a certain way getting them high up onto your wrists and then pulling them into different directions, and then you whack them against the wall, the back parts where they connect to the chain, and if you're able to hit them in a certain way, they'll just fucking pop right off. Easier to do on the black boxes, on the black box cuffs, but you get your ass beat for doing that in front of a CO. If you do it in front of the right CO, yeah, justified. You got the right idea. You're too scared to break thumb skin. Hell, it's been a long time, but I wonder if I could still pop my thumb in out of place. Ah, that didn't do it. It's close. That fucking hurt. It was close. If I try to keep practicing it, I think I'd be able to do it again. Veronica, nice to see you again. It's been a few days. Chopper Red spent many years in Pedridge Prison, mostly in maximum security H division and an automated hellhole like or called Jicka Jicka. It's Jicka Jicka. Oh my God, heard that. Ouch. Oh, you guys heard that? I think it's got some good little microphone on it then, huh? Yeah, it's actually what's weird is getting the thumb to pop back, because it doesn't want to bend outward until it like aligns back into whatever little spot it clicks back into. But when I was younger, I used to that bone right here when the cuffs bite in, they don't go past. That's the bone. So what I did was push that up and out the way, and the cuffs will be able to slide right over it. Joe says some great interviews with Chopper. Dude was a fucking character. Just be the CO over wine. Beat the CO death over wine. Damn, was killed over wine. That's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes there's times there you don't know what's gonna push a motherfucker over the edge. They might have really been looking forward to drinking that weekend. They get that shit took in. They probably needed the money. You know, they probably gonna get them in a bind. They're probably gonna get them in a fucking bind from not being able to make the money off that wine. And it's either crash out over not having the money for that come up, or crash out on the CO who just poured it out in front of you. Sometimes the evils are just one's lesser than the other. Neither are good options. What's the worst thing you ever seen in prison? Like inmates caught up in razor wire, etc. The worst thing I seen was in Atlanta, Georgia. A dude came in and he had a package on him, you know, some cell phone that was able to be broken down and stashed up in the old fucking Wes Watson hoop compartment, and he also had some drugs, and you know how the young, I mean, the Mayans come in off the streets and shit. They are more worried about being seen as being that guy and having it like that, and flexing, and you know what I mean, like it's not smart. And he came in and he wanted people to know he had all this and he was the guy, and and fucking all this shit. And some dudes drug him into a cell, and they went up in there and they got all that shit out. And we all had to sit there and listen to the dude scream at the top of his lungs while these guys rooted around in his ass. Because I think they thought he had more than what he had, and they weren't convinced. It wasn't just okay. We found what we think. Like, I guess they made sure it was a long, drawn out process, and the COs didn't care. You could hear it. And those of us were just sitting there. I was sitting down there on the fucking chair with the headphones on, and I was watching the TV. we were watching something to do with space, some life form. I think it was called life form. I'm not sure. And I remember I was like, "Fuck, man, I can't hear over this dude screaming." That's fucking terrible, huh? I just remember thinking, yeah, fuck, I can't hear this movie I haven't seen because of this dude screaming. That's a mind fuck. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check them out, Glenn. I'll look into them. Machiavelli, yeah. Yeah, they'll give scars. Grey Wolf, good to see you. Jonathan Tate, welcome to the live. I'm sorry for being disrespectful. Please forgive me. I don't mean to offend you like I did. You're all good, man. I am spiritual. Not exactly religious, but I am spiritual, bud. I practice my own native ways when I do. Joe Walker, you ever puff the strain called God's Gift? Was around a lot in the early 2000s, I believe. I don't think so. God's Gift, huh? No, I didn't. No. Yeah. The things we learn to get used to. Yeah. I mean, even then, it was a lot, but I was more like, damn, these COs will let you get killed here. Okay, now I know. That was it. It wasn't like, oh, they're digging at people's asses here. They're always digging in somebody's ass somewhere. It's just it was just really obvious that nobody gave a fuck here, and so I knew, I'm gonna have to be careful. And when my bro brought me a fucking bone crusher and told me not to leave the cell without it, I kept it on me. But yeah, wow, man, we got 18 people up in here, up in the house. I appreciate it. We got 47 likes. Y'all have been hitting the like on your way in. I appreciate everybody come through here. We are at 2 hours, and you know how I get down now. There's really no sense in going beyond that. And I appreciate everybody who came through the live and chilled with us this evening. Because, like I say all the time, you didn't have to be here, but you were. And for that, I appreciate it. We value people's times. We value people's times and opinions here. Yep. Everyone have a good night. Y'all, see you tomorrow. Take it easy.